in this lesson, we'll create letters along the spline that we created. So in addition to having the shape come out along that spline, we also want to have letters populate this spline as well along this path. So let me go ahead and turn off the background letters, just control clicking the stoplight. And let's go ahead and get this prepared. So what I want to do is to go ahead and I want to create a copy of this curve in case we need to move it around. So I'm going to go into the sweep, I'm going to control drag this base spline out. Okay. Now what I want to do is to go ahead and create a cloner. Now we'll figure out what we want to clone. We want to clone the letters. So again, we'll grab the letters and I'm going to go into one of these other cloners and just select all of these letters, control, drag them up into the new cloner. All right. Oh, let me undo that. And let me actually turn on the visibility before I do that. Just so we don't have to do that where we go through and turn on the visibility for all of those again. There we go. So now I can turn off the background letters again. Okay, so under our new cloner, we're cloning letters, and we'll go into Object, and instead of using a linear mode, we want to actually choose, in this case, an object to define our clones. Okay, now for the object, we're going to drag into this area the base spline. Okay, this is the spline that we just copied. Okay, so now you can see that we sort of have these letters along this base spline. If we go into our cloner, we can increase the count. Okay, you can see the more letters we create. We can also choose to randomize so that the actual letters aren't in any order. Okay. Now what we want to do is we want to really increase the number of these. So I'm going to set this up to something like 2,500. That's going to really create a lot of letters for us along this spline. Okay, now you can see they're all sort of smushed together and lined up. Okay, so what I want to do is now add some randomization. So we'll go ahead and add a random effector. Okay, now in the random effector, we want them to go out from the surface a bit. Okay, so we'll go ahead and let's just set these to 100 and see what that looks like. Okay, we also want to randomize the rotation. So let me go ahead and just set this 90 degrees. Okay, now the size of the letters are, I think, a little bit too big right now. And so I'm going to go into the cloner under transform and let's just decrease the scale of these. Okay, and I want to go ahead and make the sort of element fly through here so we still have some of that element, and then we also have some of the letters. So then we can go back into our random effector and go ahead and increase this randomization on the position. So maybe 125. And let's make it 120. And do the same thing here so that they sort of come out in front. You can also randomize the scale, and we can change that to a uniform scale. Okay, so we can add a little bit of randomization in the scale. If we want to change the overall scale, we can set this down a little bit more, maybe down to 0.4. And then if there are still not enough letters, you can change the count in here. Okay. All right, so now we've got our cloner. It's cloning these letters in a random configuration using an object as its source, and the object is this base spline, and you'll find that in here. So if you wanted to change that object, you could do it. So you can see as we come up here, we get all those letters cloned across this spline. Now that's great because, you know, we have the letters where we want them, but they, as you can see, if we go ahead and dial this back, the letters are always there, okay? Sort of a static position here. So what we want to do is figure out how we can make these letters appear along the spline, just as the shape appears or the sweep appears along the spline. We need the letters to appear. And we can make that happen using a plane effector and its fall off. Okay, so in the next lesson we'll take a look at using a plane effector, talk about how that works, and then we'll use it to sort of make these letters appear as they come along this curve. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start from here in the next lesson.